Are you ready to explore the unknown? Dive into the world of the strange, mysterious, and unexplained with Eerie Expeditions magazine. Each issue is packed with spine-tingling tales, cutting-edge paranormal investigations, and exclusive insights into hauntings, cryptids, UFOs, and more. Whether you're a seasoned investigator or just love a good ghost story, Eerie Expeditions magazine has something for you. Join our growing community of truth seekers and adventure lovers. Subscribe today at EerieExpeditionsMagazine.com and unlock the secrets of the supernatural. Are you ready? That's EerieExpeditionsMagazine.com, where the extraordinary is just a click away. Dare to discover. Are you ready to explore the
Welcome to the Gateway, broadcasting live from the edge of the Mojave where the strange slips through the cracks. We are live on United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM. I'm your host this evening, C.L. Thomas. Tonight I'm talking with Michelle Desrochers. Michelle is an international public figure who has been professionally and actively researching the unexplained and successfully working in media for the past 2 decades. I've had her on here before. She's the host of The Outer Realms. I think that show's on Thursdays. Tonight she's back to discuss paranormal portals. Is it smoke and mirrors? We're going to have a big discussion on that. Hold on a second. If I don't pick him up, he's going to jump all over the laptop, and you don't want that. So you've been listening to Sean Kelly with Into the Night right here on United Public Radio. I hope everyone is well. It looks like our chat is already full. It has some people in it already. Patsy, nice to see you. Wayne, nice to see you too. Hello, everybody. Yes, this is Loki. This is my Maine Coon. He's really, let me fix the screen so you can see him. He's kind of needy. He's a needy cat. He wasn't always like this, but his mama was a golden retriever and she passed away recently. Well, not recently. It's been a couple months, but yeah, he's been a bit of a handful since then. It is currently 83 degrees here in the valley with a high wind advisory until about 5 a.m. It's really windy out. I went out for just a little bit this afternoon just to run some errands, and this big giant blast of sand blew in my face and in my eyes. It's kind of a desert thing. You get used to it, but it kind of sucks. So batten down the hatches and settle in for the night as we discuss mirrors and paranormal portals. I can't wait to get into this. Let's welcome Michelle Desrochers back on the show. Let me get her on here. Michelle, welcome back.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I just love when you come on here.
Aw, thanks. I love being here. We always have so much fun. Even when you come on to the Outer Realm, we have so much fun.
There's always so much to discuss in this big paranormal realm.
It is.
So many rabbit holes.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. It's an endless amount of things when you start getting into all this highly strange stuff. So when we chose this topic, it's one of my personal favorites. So there's a lot of information. And oh, hey, everybody. God, so much my people.
Hi, Margetti. How are you?
Yeah, there's so much information. And I think my roots started off in paranormal research. So we learned pretty quick, like things such as don't put 2 mirrors facing each other. Like, why? And I remember being at an investigation where we had one of our mediums with us, and I guess that, the owners took down the mirrors because the medium said you should take down the mirrors or facing each other. And the spirit, who's very aggressive, poked him in the eye. Like his eye was watering and red. It was a hard poke. And he goes, oh, she did not like that at all because she did not like things disturbed. I was like, maybe there's something to this stuff, like it was a first experience for me with that. And of course, I've since evolved considerably since that time with respects to knowledge and just researching a lot of this stuff behind the scenes and found so much over the years.
There's got to be something to it, like you said. So in Williamsburg, I just got back from there, and there is this house, and I'm trying to remember the guy's name. It's Peyton. He's one of the richest guys in colonial America during the 1730s. Peyton Randolph, the Peyton Randolph house. And so I had a tour there. And this guy died during the Revolutionary War up in Philadelphia as they were drafting the Constitution. And he's like a big part of it because, of course, he's rich. All the rich people are a big part of this thing. And they shipped him back a month later, and they set up his funeral, of course, in the parlor. That was like a thing even in Victorian times. But all the mirrors were covered. So I expected, the Victorians to do that, but these were the colonists doing it as well. So there's got to be something.
Mm-hmm. Well, they are. I mean, I think, in folklore, you can go back to ancient beliefs with the association with mirrors. People believing that it could capture your soul, or that it was like scrying with a crystal ball. It could reveal truths. It could create portals to other realms. Covering mirrors were usually due to the deceased. Out of respect, you would cover the mirrors just to not confuse them. And just this, so if the mirrors are covered, then they would find their way out, and it would keep other things maybe from coming in and trying to tempt them, things of that nature. So there's a lot with that, getting into, especially the Victorian times. But, you could get into things like mirrors being like soul traps, right? Like a soul capture. So they believe that mirrors could trap your soul, led to the practice of covering mirrors and creating spiritual portals. That's something that we've seen happen in paranormal research. And you can go in, and how we found this out is just dealing with families and saying, well, there seems to be something that keeps coming out of this space, which was a mirror. And sometimes it doesn't have to be two mirrors. Sometimes it could just be another reflective surface, like a picture frame. If there's a reflective surface, it would sometimes cause issues. And then when you were doing voice recordings, you could hear like a bit of a humming sound. So somehow it had created this entryway, and you could see like little static lights. It just like, looked like little electrons, or, like little lightning show. and like that. Like, anyway.
So trying to manifest.
Yeah. But this is something that happened, so we trial and error. We started kind of saying, God, there's definitely something to this. And when you start really getting into it, you can get into things. I mean, just remember the old, the game Bloody Mary. Like, how many times could you just sit there and look into, look into a mirror and just see things start to happen? And it's insane. It's insane, the amount of things that are out there that have been clues the whole way around. So I don't know. It's definitely fascinating.
There is in paranormal research, there is out in the desert, the Armagosa Hotel, where I forget her name. Names always escape me, but she bought this thing and tried to turn it back into a hotel. And then she created, it used to be like a meeting hall for miners. She created that into an opera house.
That's cool.
Well, in doing that, there's this hallway called Spooky Hollow where she didn't renovate that, and she wanted to leave it for the spirits. And so she cut the hallway in half, basically. The main hall is like really long. And she boards this thing up, And there used to be like a door there, like a fire door or something like that, that would connect the rest of the hallway. Well, she puts a giant mirror there. And so the belief is that the spirits from Spooky Hollow travel through that mirror back and forth.
Wow. That again, that doesn't surprise me with mirrors. Like there's so many things out there where I mean you go back into old traditions of avoiding mirrors. Like there's little wives' tales like avoid mirrors in the bedrooms. And that goes back centuries, by the way. And it's advised to never place your bed in the place where it has a reflection in a mirror because it would disrupt your sleep. It would trigger insomnia, nightmares. Another superstition, I think, was cover your mirror while you're sleeping, as you could be vulnerable to attack from negative spirits during the darker hours. It's just, can you imagine just a new ritual of just covering or your big flat screen, shiny TV,
Start covering everything. Has there been any experiments done in the paranormal field with this?
I think so. Well, I mean, for me, black mirrors. Black mirrors are, I mean, I own a very heavy, large, antique black mirror. And it would always freak people out because you would see the other mirrors, right? Because we had this grand staircase and it was all mirrors that went up along it. But they were all strategically placed as well. Like it's not like they could catch reflections at all. But the black mirror was always at the very top. It was beautiful. It's quite extraordinary to see it. But black mirrors in ancient times, they were never considered just ordinary mirrors. They were usually made of obsidian or volcanic glass. And when you polished them, the reflections, you could see reflections in them. And they were used even by the Aztecs, the priests back there, to conjure visions and make prophecies. And these are things that have been going on for centuries. And it's, and a black mirror, again, known as scrying mirrors. They're very powerful divination tools for angelic spirit work, really anything if you go down that road. But what is scrying, which is the practice of seeing or peering into the astral realm or other planes. And you can use either mirrors. Some people will use crystal ball. Some people will actually just use water as a reflection. Now, when you say of experiments, people have done it with water and done just scrying with water. And then they'll take photos. And then you'll see images just like coming and surfacing right out of them. It is crazy. I used to follow a guy who used to do all kinds of different experiments with different sorts of reflection. And water was a really big one, and sunlight, or sometimes he would use, again, with a mirror. It was crazy, the photos he got. They were just really remarkable.
Were they just showing up right next to him?
Yeah, as he was scrying, like he was just basically, bringing them forward and taking different photos. I mean, it's almost like an ITC thing. But water was huge. You see it in different shows, like even I'll say Lord of the Rings, when Galadriel starts doing stuff. So, but you see it with even the witches in their cauldrons and bringing things forward. It's a form of scrying, and I mean, people have had incredible experiences. I have a crystal ball the size of a basketball.
Oh,
it weighs a ton. And this thing, honestly, is like, I keep it covered because it's got such a big reflective surface. We haven't stayed in a haunted house for a couple of years. It was just like, no, it's not a good idea. So it's always covered with it's got a beautiful black lace cover that goes over it.
It sounds pretty. I'm thinking of the scene where is it Cold Mountain, where Nicole Kidman is looking in the well to see if her lover is coming back from the well.
That's because it's the well. So
is that where the connection comes from with the spookiness in wells? Yeah,
because they, every time you watch these horror movies, it's where they ditch the dead in the well. They come crawling out of it like the Ring. Come on. It's a perfect scenario for something to come out of it. But I truly think there is a connection with spirit activity and water. It's one of the first things I would always ask. I would look to see, even with looking at it geographically, is there running water under the property? Is there limestone? Is there quartz? You factor in the point that we are like 75-80% water. We're going to react. Right. But I think maybe that's why spirits they tend to amp up with running water that are under properties, because sometimes it's so far down you just don't know. But there are certain things that can amplify that. So in obsidian, black mirrors, that was really big.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I had a guy not too long ago on the show, and he talks to crystal skulls. And he had one that was made out of glass. Well, they're all made out of glass that he has.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that that's acting like that mirror and creating like a portal that's what's really happening there? Maybe it has nothing to do with this skull shape.
Well, I'll tell you. I had a guest on the show probably a couple years back, and he was talking about crystal skulls of all sorts. And he said, it will choose you. The right one will choose you. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to experiment with this because that's what I do. I had to know. So I did it online. Like, I didn't go anywhere to buy one because I wanted one from Brazil or Peru. Right. So I'm looking at like amethyst. I'm looking at, crystal skulls. I ended up with a black quartz, which is like a smoky quartz. And this thing looked a bit different than traditional ones. And this is new. It's not like, in fact, we're doing a show on crystal skulls with my regular guest next week. But I kept coming back to it. So then I'm like, okay, I'm going to research the properties behind this type of crystal. Everything about it was me. And I'm like, okay, this is just strange. And they're like, you can bring something in, because he was talking about how all of his all had like a spirit attached to it. And I'm like, well, maybe I don't want that. So full house, no. So anyway, but they said if you sit and you meditate with it, and you can do like a type of scrying with it. You can just exchanging energy. Quartz crystal is like one of these. I always say it's like the double-edged sword, because quartz is supposed to be a protective stone, but it's also a stone that amplifies energy. So I can hold on to this thing, which is, and he's over there on the shelf somewhere. But anyway, he's heavy. He's very heavy. And this one came from Peru, and which is where I have some family lines from. So I thought this is very appropriate. Anyway, like the thing will just sit there sometimes, and I'll be holding it and it heats right up. And I'm like, it's different. So I think you can look at working with stones the same way as you can with mirrors. And I say that because, again, the crystal ball. I have one big stone ball, and the story, I can't remember what the heck it's called, but it's very it's luminous, so it'll glow. But apparently the story is from the elderly woman who the store I bought it from. She only had the one, and I'm like, what is the story with this? She says, if energy is around or spirits are around, it will glow. I'm like, so essentially if I have a light on it, it will glow too. And she said, not technically, no. So, okay, sat this right under the table, like it sat there forever. And the house is haunted. And that thing did not glow. But if the spirits were around, that thing glowed. At night, it would glow afterward, just from absorbing. So it's like a specific type of energy, I guess. I'm just like, wow, yeah, very, very interesting.
Can you connect with other spirits other than human spirits through these mirrors?
Yes, I believe you can. I truly believe you can. knowing, I mean, the type of paranormal work that I used to do was always geared primarily to more malevolent hauntings. Like some people don't like that sort of thing. I had no issues with it, and I had just gotten a knack for it and working with the families. I could do it, so I did, despite whatever they are. It's not always a D word either. Just saying, despite what you might see on TV. No, but it was something that I just fancied. Like I didn't want to. I wanted to help people more than I wanted to just go in and investigate a place that was just haunted. And not like I don't like historical places. I do love those and interacting with the spirits. But sometimes people would message and say, I just want to know who the spirit in the house is. But I had a long waiting list. I said, but there's so many researchers out there that could help you with this because they feel safer or they feel better doing these type of investigations. So I would just stick to the others. So in doing that, I found that at least half of the people I worked with, and there've been, probably a couple of thousand at very, very least, if not more, over the years, that at least half of them had extraterrestrial contact. They were experiencers of some sort. So some of the things that they thought was happening that might be this turned out to be ET. And I found out recently, because they're like, well, I'm being growled at. Well, I found out from this person that was on my show, probably going back about 4 years ago. And he said, no, he goes, tall whites or grays can growl. Really? Yeah. Yeah. Because there's some of them, I guess, depending on the race, that can actually grumble and growl. Like, wow. And this is what his firsthand experience was. I'm like, okay, that's a curiosity, because I tend to think maybe D word when nothing like that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yes, so I think it's 50-50 on that. I don't believe that's all the time, because I am a believer in the whole psychokinesis thing. The projection of energy tends to be a culprit a lot more often than not, because we're very powerful individuals. So I believe that if we set our intention to communicate with what we want to communicate with, it will definitely happen.
It's interesting. See, now out in the desert out here, one of the strange stories that we've been hearing about is these strange monoliths that are mirrors.
Yeah.
That appear out here just randomly, and apparently this is happening all over the world. Do you think that could be like ETs trying to create a portal to come in and out?
I think it could be anything trying to create a portal. And I'll tell you why I say that. Because scientists who work with CERN have come forward and said that they have created portals and that they can see many different things coming out of them. I'll leave that right there, kids.
Yeah, you got me thinking.
Yeah.
Where is CERN from? Is that from where? What part of the world is that out of?
I think is that the one that's out in is it Switzerland or not Switzerland? It's out one of the European countries. I can't recall where it is. When I think of HARP, of course, I mean they have more than one, but CERN is interesting because they have actually, there's this crazy statue out in the front courtyard of this thing, and there have been videos taken of people doing rituals outside of it.
No.
You find it. Don't just take my word for it. Go find it.
No, really?
Go find it. Yeah, I know. But they're coming forward, and they're talking about things coming through. I mean, how could it not? You're completely messing with space and time. I mean, you're going to tear your way. You're going to tear a hole in something. I mean, we can create portals. You don't need mirrors. You don't need anything. There's definitely ways of doing it. And people do it all the time. And this is also ancient practice. You can create, your own doorways.
Yeah, that's really something, the CERN.
Right? I know. I know. I mean, it does. It gets really wild. And I mean, scientists have come forward and they have this thing called time mirrors. So basically, these mirrors are real and they're revealing light's hidden dimensions. So, they say like for generations, it's been a one-way street. So essentially, we look in the mirror, that's it, right? But then they start getting into physics of things, and apparently, it opens up a new window into the nature of reality. Like this is all stuff people are working on. Time mirrors. Who the hell thought time mirrors was a thing? But they officially have confirmed the existence of time mirrors as a real physical phenomenon.
Wow. Okay, so I'm just like completely blown right now.
You're welcome. It blew my mind when I found it all too. Believe me, like there are things that are just insane. Like they say, experts have confirmed time mirrors are real and they function like pressing an undo button on the universe. So what if rewinding when reality was possible? Well, they think time mirrors, this phenomenon, doesn't just bounce waves back into space, but it flips their direction in time. Like what?
That kind of makes sense if we are living in parallel universes, if you think about it.
Mandela effect, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
that's interesting.
Oh, it's insane. It's
Has
insane.
anybody ever experimented with that kind of technology at some of these big time UFO places, such as like Skinwalker Ranch or that place I think it's in Peru. There's a couple of them.
Machu Picchu.
Yes.
Yeah. I believe, for what it's worth, just a little me for what it's worth, if anything, I believe that there are portals, vortices, portals all over the world. I do not think that if the ancients had a place to settle, I do not think that if they had a choice of having a stargate or a portal, that they would not settle there as opposed to having nothing. Because many ancient cultures talked about, the beings from the stars or like the Hopi underground. In Peru, they spoke of, now of course it's considered a reptilian god, but there was a reptilian being. And when cataclysm hit, much like the Hopi and the Ant people, the reptilians took them underground, educated them, take care of them, and until they were able to come back above ground. At which point, I mean, just look at some of the structures. They're all reptilian or serpent in nature out that way. So there are portals and stargates all over the planet. And they're even talking about some of these right now as to how can I put this delicately without getting too flagged, is that some of the world events going on in the present allegedly have had things to do with potentially trying to gain access to some of these type of places.
Really?
Can you imagine just slipping through something and coming out of the moon or something? I don't know, but that's what they're saying. Like, do I believe in time travel? I don't know. I did a show on this just recently, and there are so many stories of everyday people having done time travel and working for three-letter agency projects. But how many of those could have been actual time slips, perhaps? There are a lot of stories of that too. And I mean, I've spoken to people who have either know somebody who it's happened to, or, like I said, I always go back to this one woman who had a reward out because she woke up literally in another time. And her fiance of 7 years was nowhere to be found. She had a private investigator, couldn't find him. Like everything was weird. She put out eventually in a separate article that I read, she actually had a reward for anybody that can help her get back to her timeline.
What timeline did she think she was from?
Well, she knew where she was from at the time. I mean, I'm sure it was in the article. It's off the top of my head. I don't recall it. But, she woke up in her place wearing different pajamas. She went to work, same job, different building. It looked different. Even her apartment looked a bit different. But her fiance didn't even exist in that timeline. I should just imagine you go to bed and you wake up and you're completely somewhere else.
Was she sleeping with a bunch of mirrors around her?
I don't know. Maybe. It would be really weird. Is like back in the 70s, how you had those mirrors up on the ceiling.
That's exactly what I'm picturing.
Right from the yeah, I don't know.
Or just sliding glass doors, the closet doors that were all mirrored.
Yep. I truly believe that we travel when we sleep anyway. We don't just sit in the body. So it's possible we've got a mirror there. And here's something else which we did experiment with. So for a while, the person I was investigating with, one of the people I investigated with many years ago, we had been contacted by like a cleanup crew. So essentially what they did is if somebody died, they went in there and it was up to them to clean up after the coroner had been in. Well, but they would clean up anything, whatever they were called in to do, bad tenant, bad apartment, fix it up, clean it, paint it. So we got called into this one apartment. We walk in. I'm like, what's the problem? Because it goes, it's not uncommon for us to have spirits in the house after someone passes away. They have reported all kinds of information, which is why we were intrigued about doing it. So we get to this one apartment, and this one room, which is a fair size room, by the way, had a giant pentagram on the floor with chains coming down from the ceiling. So they said there were really bad things going on in the apartment. They'd only been there for a day starting to clean up this apartment. And they're like, you could see why we would want to move in here. I'm like, throw a rug over it. I was kidding, of course. But they had to remove all this paint and resand the floors and so on. And in order to remove what was stuck in this pentagram, we found an old technique, which again goes back a really long time ago. And then after that happened, I remember seeing the movie Constantine like 5 years later. I'm like, damn, Constantine took my idea. Anyway, it wasn't my idea. I took it from some ancient thing that I was reading. But anyway, if you could take a mirror and face it down over the pentagram and just light, over a candle, it would remove trapped energy and put it through the mirror. All I know, it was the first time we ever tried it, and everything was quiet after that. That crew never had another problem after that.
What's interesting?
It was different. Like it's only one time I've ever tried it because it was recommended. So I dug into it and I researched it, and I'm like, okay, let's just try. And it worked. Beyond that, then I see the movie. I'm like, right, the way he put this giant mirror over top of those like little demonic guys, and they just up in the mirror.
What if it was a mirror that was kind of like had a curvature? Like, have you ever been to Chicago?
I have. Yes.
That giant bean that's sitting there. You know what I'm talking about? The big giant bean that looks like it's as big as a building almost. It's sitting in the middle of a park.
I probably do, but it's just not resonating. The best it depends on the part of Chicago I was at.
It's over by the Art Institute.
I don't recall that. Yeah.
There's a giant bean that some artist installed there. And it kind of like the way it's reflecting the city, it kind of makes it like it's almost like it's over it. It's real interesting. And the curvature is so that you're kind of looking down on the city and it kind of curves around.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it would have that same effect over the city. Think of the experiments you can have with that thing. And the sun,
why not? Yeah, why not? Why not? It's interesting because there are artists that do work with reflection and in their pieces. And I can tell you that one location we were at, it was all mirrors on the outside. Like the windows were all reflective, like mirrors. And all kinds of stuff would happen in the courtyard of this building. like just people in period clothing popping up and all kinds of things, and always accidents happening, at the set of lights that were across from it. So they actually got a feng shui person to come in, and they said you can offset it by putting a fountain here, just to have the running water. And I thought, how clever is that? And it actually worked. And accidents stopped. Not that you didn't get occasional people coming through, because I don't think there was a whole lot of ways to get around that, really. But it wasn't on the scale that it had been before. So yeah, I don't know. But it was very, very interesting to learn about that. So and again, the reflection of this on this building, which was just insane. So I don't know. I do think, I mean, if you're looking even at different, you have these buildings out there that are like that, and there's lots of them. There's lots of them. So what happens if you just come by and you get another reflection surface against it? Is it like going to create this portal? Because there is belief that two mirrors facing one another or two reflective surfaces can create an infinite portal that spirits can use to enter, our space.
I can't remember if you said if you tried this or not.
Did I try that? No. I've never really tried that. No. No, I'm usually the one trying to make sure they're not facing one another. Because I'm a mirror fanatic. It's like chairs. Everybody knows me, knows I really like old antique chairs, like big crazy things. I kind of like that with mirrors. I probably still do. I've gotten rid of a lot, but I probably still own over 100 mirrors. And I mean, not just talking little mirrors. I'm talking big, ornate, beautiful mirrors.
And none of them face each other, though?
No. No, I would cover everything up. I mean, I would make sure, I don't know. I would make sure that did not happen as much as possible. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's something that's part of the structure, right? Because you end up with shower doors, say, reflecting on a bathroom mirror. What do? I would put something up over the bathroom mirror, like a picture, and put a mirror elsewhere. There's always ways that you can do it, because some of these things are built in. But no, I'm, I like mirrors, but I'm very careful with them as well. But my biggest mirror is probably about 4.5 feet wide and 7 feet tall. Beastly thing.
The only ongoing mirror experience that I can think of that's ongoing is that one that's hanging, and I think I forget the guy who owns it. Of course, I'm terrible with names. But it's a mirror it's in Zach Bagans' museum, and he's got it set up. I'm going to say it's Bell something. Does anyone know who has that mirror, or where that mirror came from? But he has you go in, and you're supposed to stare into the mirror, and everybody does this.
It's like Bloody Mary, and your face changes with the candle or the flashlight.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing, is everybody says that their face will change and stuff in this mirror.
Oh, that's Zach Bacon's. I think that thing used to belong to, was it Edgar Allan Poe or
I can't.
No, Bela Lugosi.
Oh, yes, that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
I know, and it wigs him right out. That's at Zach's museum. Yes. I think a lot of that is manifestation, because you can look in any mirror. I mean, I remember working at a haunted location. I was pretty much a regular there, did tours and things like that. And people would say, if they went in and looked at one specific mirror, right, because they would have candles on, because it was a really old place. So they would just have low lighting or just candles for the tours. And people would say that their appearance has changed. It's the same idea if you're taking photos and you are in the middle, example, of a seance. I've had pictures of me taken and my face is completely distorted, and I look more like the woman, spirit woman. And especially at the time, she was considerably older than I was. And I had a 22-year-old guy sitting beside me who looked like the man of the house, who was in his 60s. and super transposed right over your face. Incredible picture. And then I had somebody let their child run to me at this point. Like I say child, like he's probably 12, but still in a seance, right? And I felt something come up behind me because this place was notorious for having a very malevolent entity. So in the picture, I grab onto this kid and I tuck him into me. And when mom thought, oh, that's a cute picture, took the picture, hence superimposed faces. And behind me, you can see this being with these little horns and the white of the eyes, and came right up behind me. And that's when I grabbed the kid. I felt something. So I grabbed this young man and tucked him into me. And I said, don't move. And she took the picture, and there it was. So I don't know, like, I think if you have a place that's just a hotbed to start with, and let's talk about the experiment. I think when you were on the show, we were talking about haunted Las Vegas a couple of weeks back. Do you remember I told you about these people in the desert who were experimenting, and they took 2 mirrors and they faced them together?
And actually somebody in the comments posted that too, right here.
Yes. Well, see, they did it too. Yeah. Well, no, but the people that I saw, I think he recreated that from this couple who did it in the desert like years before that. And they were just YouTubers, and they did it. And the mirror did explode and they were just trying to bring something forth into the mirror. And they had these low lights, and they had this vibration thing going on. And because it was a sound that they were using through recordings, and the thing just went like, it was crazy.
Wow.
So that's probably why he recreated it.
One of those frequency waves that is said to like the hemisync frequencies.
It could be very well be. There's so many things. I think when it comes to reflection, I do light work. I work with reflection, and the type of frequencies that I work with would act as a vibrational. It would act as a mirror, like a reflective type of frequency. You can work with different things, vibration, frequency, whatever you want to call it. I just envision it. I can just apply it, and then I just do it. But I mean, energy is a funny thing. We ourselves are energy. So if you think to yourself, oh, I would love to do something like this, but I can't. Yes, you actually can, because you are energy. It's just a matter of projecting that energy outward or pulling it into yourself. And I think that's why when you're in certain locations that are very amplified, it's easier for them to connect to that source. And hence, sometimes it's easier for other things to connect to that source as well. So it doesn't really matter what you're doing. I think there are just some ways you create a type of environment where they can come in and manifest, and they will. And a lot of that could be manifestation that you yourself have contributed to. Right? But
Right.
And I'll give you an example of that, actually. So there's this theory where you should not speak your manifestations into a mirror. So this is a thing. This is ancient knowledge. Okay, so it's sort of been worked over, through the years. People have just made it their own. But how it actually works is, since ancient times, it's like scrying, right? You can summon things through them. You have mimics that can come through. You can have dimensional viewing. You can have portals can be created. So when you look into the mirror and you see your reflection, and if you speak your manifestation, what you want, you're not, I guess, anchoring them to yourself. You're projecting them out, because your voice will carry that intention. And your eyes apparently carry that charge. And mirrors are designed to redirect energy, not hold it. That's why in older traditions, mirrors were covered after a death. Not superstition, but containment. So, mimicking forces don't need your permission. If the words are spoken, the energy becomes misplaced. So therefore manifestation is embodied.
Man, I guess Disney had it right with Mirror, Mirror on the Wall.
That comes up in a lot of things with the old black mirrors, the obsidian mirrors. Yeah, mirror, mirror on the wall. That's a big one because you can manifest. Scrying is what it is. Disney was noted for things like that, especially the old grim fairy tales. There's a lot of that in there, you know.
There is, yes. Wow. So everyone out there is going to go and grab your mirror and go experiment.
No, don't do this at home. No, don't try it at home. No. It is a really fascinating thing, but I think a mirror is just another. It's just another way of bringing things forward. You can do it with steam, water, gemstones, crystal skulls, crystal alien skulls. I mean, it's all, I guess in a way, isn't it all a form of scrying or ITC of some sort or another?
And it's all about that reflective, you know, you mentioned earlier about the cameras and how, you know, I was just thinking, I'm a photographer and I have a whole bunch of different cameras and things. Yeah. And, you know, back in the day, people used to get a lot more spirit photography.
Yeah.
I just thought of something. What if it's because, you know, those cameras all had mirrors in them. Nowadays, they don't have the mirrors anymore.
See? But that's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. And everything went on glass. You know, the negatives went to glass back in the day. But even now with negatives, why you can't fudge a negative. But let's work with ITC for just a moment with a reverse feed from your video camera and your television. Doing that reverse feed has been known. I mean, spirits have come through the television. You could see total like forms just through doing this reverse feed. It's insane the things that you can do. Shouldn't be like telling everybody that, but but there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. A mirror is it's easy, you know. It's a lot easier.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Michelle, I think we're out of time, aren't we?
We are.
I had a whole list of questions and we didn't get to any of them. Can you believe it?
Do you want to do a part 2 just for your questions?
Yeah, I know. I wanted to get into like, you know, more of the actual like phenomena and different experiments and things like that that's been done.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for everybody else with respects to you know, different experiments. Those are the experiments I've tried with, like the removal of the thing from the pentagram was a big one. As far as like, I don't face mirrors together to find everyone to create a portal by any means. But I mean, again, I've been on site to investigations where it's happened. You know, like I said, where the medium got poked. I think the spirit actually said, "Put those back," or something. I poked him in the eye, like really ornery. Oh yeah, really upset about it. So, and again, like things would just happen to come through, and they would just happen to be in the spot where they had mirrors. So, you know, in clearing the space and removing the mirrors, then people would report not having issues anymore. So I know just in the energy work that I do, whether it be for dark or for light, it works the same and it's reflective and you can pull all kinds of things out of them. There are times, you know, we get that feeling where something's looking at you through the mirror. Probably.
It probably is.
It could be.
Yeah, that's going to freak me out.
It could be, but it also makes you think, you know, when you go into some of these older locations, like you were mentioning being at this historic house, and they would have mirrors and they would have the big black mirrors back then. So if you're a spirit and you see that,
you know how people always attribute that stuff to pareidolia.
Yeah.
What if it's a little more than that though?
I think in some cases, I'm definitely not one to discount, you know, seeing the images in photos or in the sky. Or I captured an image of a woman at a historical place in a mirror, and it was exquisite. And I thought, okay, it could be pareidolia. But I'm looking at it, I'm going, it used to be an old home and it turned into an inn. And I'm in a hallway. It's just something. There's this long hallway, and there was nothing. There were no other mirrors. There was nothing. It was just this big grand mirror at the end of this hallway, and I just decided to take a photo, and I didn't even notice it right away until I got home, and I put it on the computer. I'm going, what is that? That smudge? How dare that thing show up in my picture? I'm just like ruin a beautiful shot of a mirror with a big smudge. Anyway, I started looking at it and I could see the pink features of the face. I could see the dark hair that was up in a bun. And she had this white dress with the puffy sleeves on it, Victorian. And it happened to match the woman in white that had been seen at this location. In fact, they knew it. They knew it really well when they got it or when they saw it, and they asked for a copy of it because it's just like it's incredible. So,
Wow.
and she was in the mirror, and it was a side profile, which was pretty interesting. Yeah.
Well, with that, Michelle, can you tell us when you'll be on again?
Well, it's
Well,
a
with
busy
your
week.
show. No, with your show, not with us.
No,
with
no.
your show.
Yes, with my show. Wednesday night, I have William Bove on, and he's one of Eric's from Dark Moon Press coming on to talk about his book, Empaths, The Sensitive Human. What is it like to be empathic? What is being empathic? And how to protect yourself. He will talk about the different abilities that empaths have, and he will talk about how important it is to empower yourself so you don't get taken advantage of as it happens. And then Thursday, Bruce Brown joins me, and he was on Two Real Cryptid Legends a few weeks back, and a 30-plus year retired sheriff's deputy. And I don't think I've ever heard, and I'm sure it'll happen, but to this point, I've not heard about the incredible Dogman experiences that this man has had. So it's all about Dogman, and I mean, outrageous, crazy stuff. That's all I can say.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
You've been listening to The Gateway, broadcast from the edge of the Mojave, where the strange slips through the cracks, live from United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM, New Orleans. Thank you to Michelle Desrochers. You can catch her on her other show, The Outer Realm, right here on UPRN on I think she comes on, I always forget, dang it, Tuesdays and Thursdays or Wednesdays and Thursdays. I don't know. She's going to kill me.
Beyond the Outer Realm is Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday night is 9 p.m. Eastern. Thursday night is 8 p.m. Eastern.
Dang it. I can't keep all the shows. Every show is good. So just leave your radio on all the time and just listen to all the shows, and then you won't miss any of them. Thank you for listening to the Gateway Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and I'll see you on down the road. Until next time.